The grandfather paradox is a concept I came across while watching Christopher Nolan's newest movie, Tenet. While Nolan often includes complex and interesting ideas in his films, this one stuck out to me. I've always enjoyed content based upon time travel and the confusing nature of these stories. There's a large amount of entertainment that features the concept of time, and while I'm no physicist, I'd like to talk about this intriguing concept. Before I go on, I'd just like to ask you to like the video if you enjoy it, consider subscribing if you're new, and click the notification bell so that you don't miss my uploads. If you'd like to keep up with me, my socials are linked below, or you could join my Discord server to make everything easier. Thank you for watching. Now on to the video. The grandfather paradox comes from a pretty old example. A person travels back into the past and kills their own grandfather before their mother or father is born, which essentially stops the time traveler from existing altogether. If one were to travel back in time to kill their grandfather, how would they have existed in the first place? And if they didn't exist, then there's no way to kill their grandfather. It's so bizarre and confusing, yet so interesting at the same time. Despite its name, the paradox itself refers to pretty much any circumstance of time travel. If one goes back in time to alter an event, the original event would not have happened at all. The past is the past, but if someone tries to change it, mold it into something else, the trajectory of everything after that will change as well. So how would the time traveler have gotten to the point required to change it? This cycle of questions is what made the concept so intriguing to me. The inconsistencies in the notion of altering the past are ever present, because if the past is altered, the present wouldn't have happened. If the present didn't happen, how would you go back to change the past? Is that too many questions? My head already hurts. The paradox isn't actually a major theme in Tenet. In fact, it only comes up in one scene just to help understanding of a certain situation. But the ideas behind the concept are intriguing, which is why I wanted to talk about it. Time travel itself gets very, very confusing. And this paradox is no exception. It makes you think really hard about how to approach complex situations. You try your best to wrap your head around the idea, but the very existence of this paradox confuses us. The answer most people have to this question was explored in Avengers Endgame. Most films make time travel very simplified, as it is mostly theoretical. Avengers Endgame provided an explanation that most people would be able to understand. When you alter the past, you change the trajectory of events that are supposed to happen. And when this change occurs, the timeline splits and becomes a new timeline, a new universe. The original timeline will stay the same no matter what. What's happened has happened, but if you try to go back and change something, nothing in the original continuity will be affected. Everything after the change breaks apart from the original timeline. This, however, is a simplified answer to the paradox. It ignores the paradox itself. It provides kind of a convenient way out of the situation. I think the problem lies in our very limited understanding and perception of time. After all, time wasn't truly a concept until we deemed it one. We streamlined it to ease our own understanding of it. We created calendars, hours, days, months, weeks, years, everything. We somewhat created the concept of time by using the stars and space, things bigger than us that we can barely even understand to this day. We perceive time in a very, very linear fashion. Our perception of it is completely linear. The way we speak is also completely linear. We go in order. We take things one step at a time forwards. But when we break from this comfort, things become very confusing. Linearity is very comfortable for us because everything progresses in the forward direction. It's what we've been living with all our lives. It's been around for centuries, and it's the simplest thing to understand. But when we start branching out from just moving forward, when we break away, it's difficult to process. Working backwards is usually more difficult than going forwards. Driving in a car in reverse takes more effort, concentration, and focus than driving forwards. Walking backwards makes us more likely to trip, keeps us off balance. It's difficult for us to take a solution and find a problem for it. We usually take a problem and find a solution. As you can probably see, I'm still talking about this very one-dimensionally. I'm speaking of the problem on only one plane. That's how we've all grown to understand almost everything, in this highly linear fashion, best suited to our tiny little limited minds. It's what we understand the best. But I don't think time really works that way. It can go in any direction, any way it wants. The film Arrival touches upon this aspect of linearity quite well. The aliens that arrive have a language that bends the normal human perception of time. Their language allows them to see through time and know of future events. They come to Earth to teach humans their language, because in the future, they'll need the humans' help. Their language can be used as a weapon by the humans. It completely shatters all previous human conceptions and misconceptions of time. We see an introduction to the film, and we believe it's a flashback. By the end of the movie, our understanding of the situation completely flips. It's actually a glimpse into the future, the defined future that one cannot change. All understanding of the linear flow of time is completely stripped away from the viewer. That's why this paradox is so important. We believe objects can only exist in one place at one time, but it's possible for one thing to exist simultaneously in two places. I personally do not know how to explain this, but if you're interested, in the description I've linked a video by Minute Physics which somewhat explains the grandfather paradox. That's why I enjoy all these movies. They're somewhat rooted in scientific fact and theories and knowledge, and they all explore themes that are difficult for us to comprehend. But when we do understand them, when we take the time to look at them, they're so interesting to just sit down and watch, to just take in the situations. The complex nature of these films is just really beautiful to me. If you enjoyed this video, I have some content based around time that I'd like to recommend. Tenet.
All I have for you is a word. Tenet. It'll open the right doors.
Arrival.
Who's being carted off in the medevac?
Not everyone is wired for what you're about to do.
Dark. Looper.
Time travel has not yet been invented, but 30 years from now, it will have been. I am one of many specialized assassins.
The Umbrella Academy.
Loser! Diego!
That's all I have to say for this video. I hope you were as interested in this concept as I was. If there's anything that interests you about time travel and such, or any content you'd like to recommend, let me know in the comments. Thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to look for the light, and goodbye for now.